And this is what basically pushes the kids to commit violence. So in order to go ahead and try to stop this whole violence, of the kids committing the violence, even though that they come from a bad, from a bad family. Not saying that the family's always bad, but sometimes, it's a little bit of neglect, or the parents are always working, so they feel like they don't got that attention, so they go to the streets trying to get that love and that attention, and then, it escalates to something worse, which of course is the youth violence, committing crimes and all that. Children need to get more involved in their schoolwork, because this is something that actually helps them develop their cognitive skills, and not only that, but it helps them control their emotional skills. So throughout the whole different studies that I did in my literature review, is that there are things we can all do to reduce this violence, and it's by providing children with the ability to resist negative peer influence, to take away these kids from all these bad influences there is. That's what we need to do, because kids, like I said it before in the beginning of my presentation, they're like sponges. So anything they hear, they easily get influenced into do bad things. And we also got to make them understand the consequences of what violence, of what happens when you actually do violence. You could either die, which is something, which is really horrible. You could go to jail for the rest of your life. They actually have to see the consequences, because they think just because they're kids that they could get away with it. But it's not like that. Kids nowadays, they get tried as adults if they commit crazy crimes like murder and things like that. We got to make them understand that it's okay to forgive people, that violence is not the answer. It's okay. You don't always have to forgive people, but sometimes you just got to let it go. You gotta, surround yourself around positive people. We all gotta attempt to break the cycle of violence. And this is definitely a research that I would like to go ahead and, take a look back, of what is it that I found today in a couple years, look more into it and see if these programs that, these different programs, different organizations, if they had actually helped these kids. It's something very interesting, because just knowing the murder rate that there's in Chicago, especially all these kids nowadays that are dying, which is really ridiculous. I go to a church, me and my husband go to a church every Sunday. It's called New Life. And they have different programs there, to help young kids who are at risk, and it's a really interesting program, because it teaches them, not only does it teach them about God, but it teaches them like other important messages about forgiving people, which is something that basically, takes back to, the article that I discussed about the grandpa and the father of the victim coming together, them forgiving themselves. There's a lot of programs out there that helps these kids from committing crimes. Not saying that every program, of course, is going to help every kid there is, but out of 10 kids, at least 2 are going to get saved. That's from my personal experience. I know when I was younger, I used to do a lot of tutoring. I was a mentor for kids who were at high risk of committing crime. And it's really amazing what one person can actually do for another kid. Because when I was in high school, I had, I would say like a therapist that I would go ahead and discuss my problems with in my senior year of high school. And I was a troubled child, but she helped me out a lot. So more programs like this should be provided, to kids, not only here in Chicago, but, all around the world, because this is an issue that we basically face, not only in the United States, it's everywhere. So I would really, it was a good study, and it's something that I would really like to look more deep into, a couple years from now, and see what programs actually work for these kids.